What's up, guys? We are back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the possible stimulus checks and how government sucks because they can never agree on anything and they're slow and terrible. So, could you get 1,200, 600, or nothing? Well, that's a good question. Lawmakers are running out of time to pass another coronavirus relief package before Congress adjourns for the holidays. Major point of contention is whether any package will include another round of stimulus checks, the direct cash payments that helped millions of households, whether the economic crunch caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, I'm sorry, but the stimulus checks really didn't do anything. Okay, they prolonged the inevitable for what, like 1 month? Um, there are millions of people who are screwed because they 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 didn't get their $1,200 check right away, or they got it, but let's face it, one $1,200 check for, what is it now, 8 9 months of lockdowns, that doesn't help, okay? And the unemployment is about to run out as well for a lot of people. So they need to get their shit together, okay? A 908 billion bipartisan proposal initially left out stimulus payments, which, I mean, people need money now, okay? They need money right now. It says focusing instead on providing jobless workers with an additional $300 in weekly unemployment aid, but a last-minute addition to the package could include another round of checks, most likely at the 600 per person level. Okay, so if you add $300 to the weekly unemployment, sure, I get it because there are a lot of people unemployed. But there are plenty of people right now that were, what I believe the term is, constructively dismissed, meaning they haven't actually lost the job that they're working at, but they've taken either a large enough pay cut or hours got cut enough that they were essentially fired based on the amount of money that they are actually making. So probably I think it's like 50% of their pay is no longer there, right? So they can either, I don't remember if they would actually qualify for unemployment or not. I think that depends how much they're still making, um, or not. Um, but $600 per person is not enough. That's that is not even rent for most people, for just about anybody I can think of, unless you're renting like a one-bedroom house or a one-bedroom room inside of somebody else's house. I don't see how $600 will do very much. I mean, unless you're homeless, in which case $600 is great for food for like a month or whatever. But I mean, you're homeless, so uh, that's only half of the $1,200 payments that were distributed months ago, right? Now, the this is only half of the $1,200 payments distributed to 160 million Americans through the 2 trillion coronavirus aid relief economic security or CARES Act this spring. Some senators, including Bernie Sanders, have insisted that any new relief bill include another round of checks worth $1,200 for low and middle income Americans. Sanders, who is joined by Josh Hawley, a Republican senator from Missouri, pledged to force a vote on the proposal before lawmakers adjourn for the year on December 18th. I actually have to agree with Bernie because, look, I don't agree with Bernie on a lot of things, actually, most things, but this, I mean, if you're gonna do a stimulus check to everybody, do the same amount. I mean, we're already raising the debt ceiling so high. Our government debt is so high. What does it matter anymore, right? So who cares? I mean, you guys are shelling out money like it's freaking candy. Okay, I mean, the, 23% of all of the money ever printed in the United States was printed this year. Almost 1/4 of all money ever was printed this year. That's ridiculous. The inflation is going to happen. So at this point, it's like, you know, look, I would prefer us to open up because the World Health Organization has even said lockdowns are not good, yet states are continuously still pushing lockdowns for no reason. Just open back up. We've seen countries that have done it. We've seen countries that never even shut down. And for what reason we have to give people these $1,200 checks, I don't understand why we're still locked down. It's ridiculous. Okay? Anyway, uh, the current negotiations are based on a $908 billion proposal from a bipartisan coalition of senators. But because that package included $160 billion in aid for struggling state and local governments, which Republicans objected to, as well as a liability shield for businesses, which Democrats opposed, the group split the proposal into two bills, essentially carving out the controversial issues into a smaller separate package that can be argued over at another time. Thank you! Holy crap! Finally these lawmakers go, you know what? The shit that we're arguing about, let's just take that out and take the parts that we agree on and fucking pass that. And then take the shit that we don't agree on and be like, okay, let's talk about that in two separate bills at a later date, because if we just keep it all together, nothing's going to get passed and people are going to be jobless, uh, uh, homeless, and destitute, okay? So let's just get our crap together and deal with it. Thank you for them actually doing that, right? So, instead, the first bill would consist of $748 billion, expected to include additional funding for the popular Paycheck Protection Program and unemployment insurance, among other programs. Holding off on $160 billion in funding for state and local governments may be the key to finding support for another round of stimulus payments. The cost of the CARES Act direct payments was approximately $300 billion. Cutting the checks in half would come in at $150 billion. Swapping the $150 billion in direct payments for the $160 billion in state and local aid would create an overall bill in the $900 billion range that is being reported. I think that if you're going to do direct payments, $1,200. I mean, that's what we did before, and it still wasn't enough. So what makes you think that the $600 is going to be enough? At that point, you might as well just not give us the $600 because it won't do anything. If anything, I would say put everything into, instead of doing the direct payments, just go ahead and put it into unemployment. But look, because let's face it, I got the $1,200 check back then, and so did a lot of people that I know that didn't actually need it because I was still employed. Well, I still am employed. There's plenty of other people that I know that were employed that got the $1,200 check that all they decided to do with it was pay off some debt, right? Or put it in savings. But there are people that actually need it. I don't think it should go to everybody. I think that if we're going to do direct payments, the people that are on unemployment should get it. The people who are furloughed should get it. The people who are currently employed do not need it. I mean, now if they got a constructive dismissal, then okay, yeah, because, they lost hours, right? But people who don't need it really don't need it. I mean, a lot of people, like for me personally, I have not lost hours. I have not lost I haven't been, my pay hasn't been docked. So there's no reason for me to get it. There's plenty of reasons for other people to get it. And I think that instead of passing a general bill that's like everybody gets it, this time around, I think they were saying it's directed at middle to low income instead of everybody. Because last time I think even like billionaires got the stupid $1,200. So I like that they're kind of moving in the direction of, okay, let's cut the people out who don't kind of need it and focus on the people that need it. But even then, I think you could kind of hone it in a little bit more. Anyway, with that being said, that's for just the direct stimulus payment. Let's talk about the unemployment aid, right? The $748 billion measure would help millions of jobless workers by adding 16 weeks to the unemployment programs that are now set to expire at the end of December. The Pandemic Unemployment Compensation, or PUC, which had provided 600 a week to jobless workers until it expired in July, would be renewed with weekly benefits of 300. The plan would also extend to federal eviction moratorium by an extra month through the end of January. Okay, good, good. That we need that. We need people who are currently unemployment to still get unemployment. I disagree though that the sick. I can't tell if this means they're increasing uh, the 600 a week to 900, adding 300, or if it's decreasing the 300. Because it looks to me like it's decreasing the 300, which that kind of rubs me the wrong way because you have people who are getting $600 on unemployment right now and probably barely making it now going down to 300. That's cutting everything in half. I mean, that's what they're only going to be getting $1,200 a month. I mean, yeah, maybe if they issue a $1,200 stimulus check, then that would get them by another month. But I mean, past December to January, February, I mean that I don't think people are going to be able to survive on that if they're barely surviving on the 600. I do like extending the federal eviction moratorium, but I think it should go longer than January, just because. I mean, I guess maybe they're just doing it just to get through the holidays, so that way when they reconvene, they can figure out extra. But I think it definitely needs to go longer than that. If if these stupid, ridiculous democratic cities are going to keep them shut down for longer, lockdowns and all that stuff, then the evictions need to be pushed. They need to be pushed hard because I'm sorry, but you can't have people who are being told by the government, no, you can't work, and then also being evicted by said government. You just can't have that. That's ridiculous. No. Okay. The package is far from perfect. There are major omissions, including a cut in PUC from 6 to 3. Okay, so yeah. So it is a cut. That's what I thought it was. It was a cut from 6 to 300 and no continuation of paid leave. Um, Nonetheless, the proposal represents a strong down payment of assistance for unemployed workers and the entire company. I mean, come on, but why are you cutting that? Why don't you just do another version of the CARES Act that extends it? It, obviously, cut out a lot of the stuff for these large business. I mean, there were multi-million dollar companies that somehow got money from this. Literally, I do not think, under any circumstances, that huge, large, multinational corporations should get a dollar, nay, a dime. They should not get a dime from the federal government because these large corporations should have had their own little nest egg for when stuff goes bad. Okay, they make billions of dollars a year. They should have been able to foresee this. Small businesses should have been given a majority of that money. Small businesses should have been given the money, the individual worker, and individual payments. That is what the original should have been, and no big businesses should have gotten it. I think they should have re-upped a version of the CARE Act that just cut all the large corporations out of it. Because, I'm sorry, no. You've got these CEOs making millions of dollars a year that, quite honestly, they don't need the money. If they want to keep their business going, sacrifice some of your own personal money, especially considering you have plenty of equity that you can put into to your own business. That's my opinion. Whatever. Let's continue reading. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and other congressional leaders spoke on December 15th to discuss the relief package and a broader government spending bill, with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin calling in, according to Pelosi's spokeswoman on Twitter. The Speaker and Secretary Mnuchin spoke at noon by phone for an hour and some minutes and discussed the latest COVID and Omni talks. The secretary will join the Four Corners leadership meeting today at 4 by phone. Splitting the bill may boost the likelihood of extending jobless benefits before year end. Analysts said there's a nearly categorical 80% that Congress will enact at least a moderate-sized 400 to 750 billion stimulus before the week is over. Great, because we need it. People need it. If you're going to keep everything shut down for no real reason, because there's really no reason to keep things shut down, especially when we know how to protect the vulnerable now. Okay, and with a vaccine that's been approved, that's slowly being distributed now, there is zero reason to stay shut down. I'm sorry, there's just not. But if you're going to, then you need to pay the people. If the government is coming in telling you you cannot work, you cannot be open, in my opinion, quite honestly, the government should be compensating you the exact average amount of what you would be making for the whole time that you should have been open. Obviously, that's not possible because that would be insanely expensive, but that's just my opinion. But then again, this government has been run so poorly that we've been trillions in debt when we really should have had a surplus of money for this reason. My opinion. The politically fraught debate over additional stimulus funding is leaving millions of households hanging in the dark about what, if any, aid they may receive over the next few weeks. For many people, the financial picture is dimming as winter approaches and coronavirus reaches new daily heights. Okay, many people have already become destitute. I mean, there are people that had a car, a house, and a great bank account that are now homeless and living out of said car. There are plenty of people who are now in a home or in an apartment that they now owe 6, 7 months of back rent on. That as soon as the moratoriums for evictions are released, they're gone. They're gone because they won't be able to pay that back. I mean, how are you supposed to pay that much back rent? I mean, once everything's said and done, I think millions of people will be filing for bankruptcy. At the end of November, more consumers said that they were feeling financial impact from the COVID-19 crisis, reaching almost 6 in 10 people, so 60% of people, and representing the second consecutive monthly increase in hardship. Man, this is just terrible. Okay, some consumers, meanwhile, say they need far more than another one-time payment of $1,200 to help them survive until the coronavirus vaccine is more widely available next year. Our COVID numbers are bigger than ever, and the scale of this pandemic is almost limitless, but the aid is not. Yeah, I mean, with everything being shut down, people need more than $1,200 one time every 9 months. They just do. Yeah, whether PPP, whether it's stimulus checks, one by one, they've dried up and nothing has been put in its place. Because government is slow. Because government is ridiculously slow. And a lot of the times when it comes to this, the help does not come in time. December 26th feels like a ticking time bomb. Yeah, because unemployment is set to expire for 12 million jobless workers. None of it's enough. Whether it's $600 or $1,200 for the one-time check, nothing's going to be enough. Millions of U.S. families are struggling to pay their bills. Layoffs remain historically high. About 8 in 10 are concerned about their ability to pay their bills. 80% of people are like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. That's scary. Yeah. 2 in 5 impacted consumers say they really need a future stimulus check and don't know how they will get by without it. Well, quite honestly, even with the stimulus check, I mean, do you think that that's going to help you more than a month or two? Maybe. I mean, Joe Biden wants to lock down right off the bat for 6 weeks, like hard lockdown nationwide. So, one stimulus check if it only gets you by for a month, there's also a delay in, because I'm sure a lot of people didn't get it right away. So, come the lockdown, you're gonna have people who need that $1,200 that they're not gonna get it right away. It's gonna take 2 months to get to them, and by then, well, oh well, right? So it's not. This is just unprecedented amount of spending when we have such a high national debt. This should not have happened. We should not have been in this much debt in the first place. We should have had excess, but the government just kept spending on military and pointless crap. And now we don't have the money. We got to start borrowing money to pay people when, quite honestly, it is the government's job. If they are going to make a mandate to say, if the government's mandates adversely affect you financially, they need to pay you. Kind of like if they use was it eminent domain, and they say, hey, we're building a highway through your property and we're gonna have to demolish your house. They have to pay you fair market price for your house before they and your moving expenses and all that crap to relocate you somewhere else before they come in and bulldoze your home. Same crap with these businesses. That's what it should be. It should be, hey, you need to close your business for 8 months. We're going to pay you the average of what you would normally make. But guess what? Can't do that because the government has poorly mismanaged every single financial decision for 30 years or more. Ever since we got off the gold standard. So, go figure. Man, I'll tell you what, people are sick and tired. They're sick and tired of all of this. And me personally, I think that I'm not in favor of just directly paying people because I think that we should reopen. But if that's not going to happen, then yeah, $1,200 checks. But who knows, man? We'll have to wait and see whether or not this even gets passed because they haven't come to a conclusion yet. They're just close. So who knows? Maybe everything expires because they recess and nobody gets anything, and then America is screwed because government sucks at their jobs. So even though they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars of our taxpayer money to do almost nothing half the time. So that's my spiel. Um, you know, uh, we'll have to keep watching. Alright guys, so if you guys like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Please hit that notification bell so you guys know when I post new videos. And share this video, share my other videos, and I will see you guys next time.